Hello, and welcome to this edition of Found Friday. I'm your host, Karen Skates, and with me is Erin Robbins O'Brien, our own COO and marketing strategist. She and I will be talking about the arrival of a new person in the C-suite, the Chief Marketing Technologist. Good morning, Erin.
Hey, Karen.
How's it going?
It's good. I love that our names rhyme.
I
It
know
cracks me up.
it's the Karen and Erin show for sure. If you're watching, you can join the conversation by posting your questions and comments on Twitter at #FoundFriday, and we'll answer them during the show. So, Erin, we've been talking about the technical side of marketing for a while in terms of using data to inform decisions about what content to create, where to distribute it, and how to measure it. How is the CMT going to fit into that workflow?
I really think this role will fit kind of differently into every organization. So I'd like to say that I'm actually really thrilled to see this being recognized as a necessary position. As with any new position, there's likely to be some kind of, kinks to work out in terms of jurisdiction, sharing of information, kind of really what all everybody owns. I'm hoping that this person really shows value in a couple of places. First is the side of understanding the technology that drives marketing today, both from kind of an actual channel side, like email, social media, display ads, SEO, but also from analytics. So understanding reporting, insights, all of those kind of things that really feed together to making marketing decisions. What we're really looking for is creating that customer conversion journey, because that's where the gold mine is, right, with marketing data. The second thing that I'm really hoping that they come to the table with is come in and across a variety of business units can shed some light on the business. What I'm looking for here is looking at data from like Salesforce, Marketo, public relations, customer support, advertising, and using all that data to understand what customers really want, how to message it to them, and then how to inform product roadmaps based on that information so that you're building the next thing with kind of all of these pieces put in there together.
So that's a lot to kind of put together. Who's this person going to be? Do you think they'll come from the marketing side or the IT side? I don't know about the IT side. It just seems like they would have to have a pretty deep understanding into the hows and whys of marketing and the unique challenges that marketers face.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that marketers that have come up through the ranks today have some technological acumen already. So anybody that's kind of been coming up through the game over the last, especially 5 or 10 years should. Of course, it's almost impossible to know every piece of potentially relevant marketing technology at a deep level. And even if you did, it would change every few months anyway. So being an expert on, Marketo and Salesforce and, Google AdWords and all these things, like those things have changed so much over the last few years. It's so hard to know all of it. On top of that, there's a growing list of marketing channels and distribution options, not just from social media, but like user-generated content, publishing, native advertising. I mean, it's a real jungle in here. I think the folks that'll be able to do well at this position are going to have a strong grasp of statistics, analytics, the overall marketing climate, and a strategic mindset so that they can glue it all together in a big picture sense. In terms of learning the technology, if you have some of the basics, you can learn whatever new technology is thrown your way, and you kind of have to, because we will keep coming up with new technology. And if you can't do that, you're probably in the wrong position, or somebody really built kind of a shitty UI that prevents usability. And we have seen that happen too, right? Companies kind of force marketing technologies and new channels onto people that are really cumbersome, like hard to use, hard to grasp, difficult to manage and learn, and have a really long ramp-up time. And to me, that itself is a kind of a continuing problem that marketers face. So somebody that's willing to be smart about working with those challenges and can then work with their teams to address those challenges.
I know that marketers are really challenged to keep up with the technology. And we've talked a lot about some of your background. You really came from the statistics and analytics side, and then have a lot of other experiences. But can you give us some insight into your journey and how you have melded the two sides, analytics and marketing strategy?
Yeah, I mean, the road I took to get here is similar to what I think a lot of people are facing in the desire to be in a strategic position, but may have been raised on more Mad Men style of advertising or marketing, and then kind of saw the rise of email marketing, the explosion of social media, and a host of other things that kind of have changed and continue to change on what seems like a daily basis. I do have a background in statistics, but I also have a degree in communications. And I've done stints in public relations, marketing agency work, business intelligence, in-house client side things. And I think that kind of breadth of experience has really helped have exposure to a lot of different things. So when we're talking about building a product to help marketers, as the marketing role changes to encompass data from a lot of these places, I like to hope that I can at least empathize with the questions that a lot of different roles have. And honestly, the title COO doesn't really fit half the time either. I don't know if CMT would be the right title here at my current position, but I think that what we're really looking at is struggling to find a way to describe a business need that also fits in with like kind of a soft side of like certain marketing, art and science, as well as like an IT technological perspective. I think the reason I've morphed into where we are now is like an understanding of analytics, as well as like this idea of a marketing discipline. And I would say that, there's a real intuition and strategy that goes into taking disparate data and creating a picture and a plan from that. And I think that that'll be a challenge that not just the CMT, but a lot of people in the marketing discipline are going to kind of begin to face. It's entirely possible that any marketer will need to have this CMT trait to them.
Well, we've been talking a lot about how marketers need to get more strategic, just in general. And do you think that this new position, the C-suite, will make that easier? For instance, can this person now become the buffer between the CMO and the CEO? When the CEO sees this cool new strategy that a competitor is using, or they just see a cool video on YouTube, and they say, hey, let's do that. That's really cool. They got a lot of traffic for that. Let's do that. Do you think that what will be the Chief Marketing, CMT, will be able to sort of buffer that and help marketers to stay on their strategic path?
It's really hard because it makes it sound like I'm taking marketers to task, and maybe I am, but I've seen a lot of shitty marketers, and it makes things really suck for everybody. And I think the genesis of it kind of might be that marketers had a pretty sweet deal when a lot of these new tactics came out, and they were able to drive a lot of traffic and vanity metrics without doing a ton of work. And then the game shifted a bit, and unfortunately, like clients and consumers, as well as executives, were kind of none the wiser. And now we're getting to a place where consumers are definitely starting to wise up, and internal executive teams are starting to wise up as consumers wise up and numbers start to dip. And some of these marketing tactics, it's not as easy to create conversions and really drive relevant traffic anymore. So now we've got a lot of people who didn't keep up the market or the technology and are still running programs like it's 2004. And unfortunately, this sinks everyone down a bit because it makes marketing look ineffectual or ill-informed, or it makes it look like it takes 5 people to do the job that one correctly informed person could do. And this is where engineering and IT actually gained a lot of power as technology really became a way to market brands, and as everybody started to have a website. This is where the rise of all that stuff really came in. Now, certainly, of course, this doesn't represent everyone, and I'm really hoping it's not even the majority, but it's definitely a problem. With this new CMT role, what I'm really kind of hoping happens here is that there's an awareness brought to the need for education in this area of every organization. And with a champion at the top at this CMT level, smart hires will be made, existing employees will get information and education that they need, and everybody will step up their game a bit.
Well, it seems like this person is going to have to be the jack of all trades. Not unlike marketers today, but even more so with the added responsibilities of IT. what is the one thing you think that someone entering this role might want to focus on first?
I'll keep this one short. Like an honest review of what's really going on in marketing already and across the organization. A look at the history over the past year, if that's possible. What tools have been used? What marketing channels are disseminating the messaging? What's worked? What's not working? I'd also ask myself, are there holes in the data? Things that we don't know that we would want to know? Is there like a central place where all data across sales, marketing, customer success, PR, et cetera, is stored so that it can actually be viewed to recognize patterns? If not, is that something that can be put in place? Like who owns the data? How much of it are you seeing? And kind of what we talked about, I can't remember now, maybe a couple weeks ago, is this idea that if you're using an agency, are they really telling you the numbers that you need to know? Like, are you really getting the correct data? So, I think I'd start there by doing a really honest assessment.
Well, whenever anything new comes along, the status quo is threatened. And I think that's particularly true in larger organizations. Smaller organizations might be a little bit more flexible, but in the larger organizations, there's a status quo and there's a way we've always done things. And do you think either the CIO or the CMO or the IT guy or whoever is going to feel like this new position takes away some of the real estate in the organization? And if they do, how can organizations best use this new person to enhance their efforts instead of crippling them? How can this person really become the glue that brings everybody together and breaks down those silos?
Unfortunately, there's really no way to stop people from having a scarcity mindset. In fact, there's this book that came out late 90s or early 2000s called Love is the Killer App. And the message there is still as relevant as it was 10, 15 years ago, which is there's really no need to hoard information or intelligence or ideas. It doesn't help anybody, and it actually really hurts you. You're not going to protect your job by hoarding information, because hoarding information eventually makes the company not do as well. And when the company doesn't do as well, everyone sinks. I think that if you're coming into an organization because you know that you can actually prevent this scarcity mindset across all of humanity, I think that if it's an outside hire especially, you're going to need to show how your data is helping across various aspects of your group. Asking for everybody's data right off the bat usually just makes people you're feeling like you're digging for dirt on them. So instead, share some good and bad things that are from your team or from your side of the house so that people know that you're going to be fair, and that you're willing to share success and failures in an honest and open way, so that what you're really trying to do, that your real goal is to get the best possible strategy for increasing revenue in place, no matter what that means sharing.
And I'm hoping that it will relieve some of the pressure from marketers. I think they're feeling very overwhelmed at this point, a large majority of them anyway. And some are just having trouble keeping up with the changes that have already taken place. We talked about this when we looked at the CMI report. Challenges from last year are the same as the challenges this year. So what advice do you have for marketers who want to still have jobs in 5 years?
That's really tough, and not because I don't have suggestions, but because I really don't think that there's a silver bullet to fluctuating changes in markets, as well as internal organization changes, as well as consumer behavior changes and technology changes. I think the first thing to do is to stay informed but not make knee-jerk reactions based on fads or, honestly, loudmouths who like to predict the rise or fall of anything. If we're being honest, marketing is a really old institution, and even the next big thing won't seep into everything in one fell swoop. I think that what we're really talking about is getting information, and my suggestion is to get your information from a variety of sources, because I think a lot of people are incentivized to make these predictions and say things like, oh, this is going to be the end of this, or oh, this channel is completely irrelevant and this channel is super relevant now. And I'm like, well, maybe not for every organization, right? There are companies that are just now really starting to learn how to use things like Facebook and Twitter, and that's not right for everybody either. But or people who are doing really well on Pinterest, so to say, oh, well, now Pinterest is passe and this other thing is cool. It's if it's making you money, it's cool, because there is nothing cooler than money. So Like for your business, that's what you want, right? Like you want revenue, you want customer satisfaction, you want customer loyalty, and you want referrals. Like that's what everybody pretty much wants. So if it's working, it's working. I think that there's a lot of, it's very easy to get caught up in all of the like razzle dazzle of new things. So kind of continuing to make sure that you're reading and writing and learning about stuff, and always to make sure that, you know, we talked about it a couple of days ago on a show about setting benchmarks and doing things like that. There's a real positive side of setting benchmarks and adding a channel or changing one thing and seeing how it affects the benchmarks, as opposed to dropping a channel, adding something new, doing all these kinds of things at once, because you'll never actually know which lever you pulled that really made the difference, and maybe you didn't have to pull 10 levers, maybe you only needed to pull one. Yeah, so I mean, staying relevant means staying smart about making right data decisions. I think that also learning how to measure your efforts is really important. You know, the people who have jobs in 5 years are the people who can prove that the job that they're doing works. And that when it doesn't, that they're willing to try new things and to get to a better place. So if you're not measuring things or not measuring things correctly, and if you don't know how your particular job or business division really contributes to larger company goals, then I would say you need to figure that out, and you need to figure it out today. And we had a conversation about it. I think it's another FoundFriday episode. So I would say that in the show notes from today, I would definitely put a link to that episode because it's really true.
Talking about being prepared, you know, we've been talking about how we don't really think the universities right now are preparing graduates for the marketing environment that is now, that their programs are really based on what marketing was a few years ago, and that graduates aren't getting anything about the technology side of marketing. Do you think that this new role of CMT is maybe going to influence that, or do you just think that the learning institutions are dinosaurs and they move too slowly?
I mean, I don't know that you can really blame a university for not having a curriculum for something that we as marketers who live and breathe this every day and whose livelihood depends on it can't keep up with a lot of times ourselves. You know, we talk about how the fact that even if you created a curriculum in the time span of 6 months and printed textbooks, you would probably already be getting behind the curve. And then you'd have to have somebody that could teach it, right? So, I mean, that's difficult. I'd like to think that what a university's job really is, and I've always felt that this is what schools' core function is to teach you how to think and learn and research and find information for yourself, and to present you with information and facts so that you can make better and informed decisions, because information is everywhere, especially now. And we're always presented with so much information and a variety of sources that you have to start to really ask yourself, you know, who do I listen to? Who do I get my knowledge from? Do I want to take everything they say at face value, or do I want to dig a little deeper? And kind of what does this information have to do with me? What does this information have to do with my life, my business, my truth, whatever it is? So, I mean, it's really hard. I can't imagine trying to be a university, you know, professor or staff member today where my job is to create a curriculum for this role. I would really start at kind of a blend of marketing and engineering capabilities, so like basic HTML for sure. If we're not teaching marketers HTML, we need to be doing that, because that's like a survival skill. I mean, I think that my 7-year-old cousin can actually code in HTML, so I'm not even sure that by the time you get to college, you probably already know some of it. But yeah, I mean, like, I really think that is a horrible expectation of a single institution.
Yeah, we'll see 7-year-olds coming in and teaching the professors how to do it. Well, I think that's about it for today. One thing I did want to mention was this whole idea of the lifelong learner, and that I've always been a proponent of teach people how to learn. I think that's what you're talking about. Teach people how to learn and how to be learners and how to always be open to the next thing. I think people get a skill set and they get stuck in that skill set, and then there's a lot of fear get older or have been in position longer, there's a fear of learning something new. So I think for marketers, a big piece of advice is to, use that fear to really improve yourself and take that next step, take that leap, and learn what you can, and hopefully the CMT will come along to help guide you as well.
Well, you're also a really good person to give that advice, having been both a marketer and a teacher. Understand that learning doesn't stop when you leave the classroom, and changing fields. It presents a really big challenge, and I think that one of the things you and I talk about a lot that is really relevant for people, and they should remember this, is there's really only so badly you could break something. So trying to learn something new, you can't be ruled by the fear of messing up or doing it wrong. You can do it wrong, but
Yeah.
If you're a doctor, if you're a neurosurgeon, of course, doing it wrong has drastic, catastrophic consequences. As a marketer, there are probably consequences, but there should be some fail-safes in place for it to not take down an entire company. So really focusing on kind of having this adventurous spirit, I think would give people a lot of opportunities that they don't have if they're kind of working from this fear or scarcity mindset.
Well, and it seems like there's so much on the internet. On a Saturday afternoon, click into YouTube and watch a video, and
a FoundFriday episode.
Perhaps a FoundFriday episode, correct, or one of our Found episodes. But not to plug that too much, but we are going to be talking to Joe Polizzi, founder of Content Marketing Institute, on Monday, and that is going to be an interesting conversation because I think we'll touch on some of these trends in marketing and talk about where he sees the role of the marketer going, as well as just marketing as a field. Where is it going? And especially, of course, his focus is content marketing.
I would like to tell people that it's probably a really thing to watch after you've stuffed yourself full of turkey next week, is that you can go and watch this recording while you're too uncomfortable to move.
I plan to gain at least 5 pounds on Thursday. I don't know about you, but I know you like to start your New Year's resolutions early. I'm a procrastinator, so I'm just going to gain the weight and worry about it in 2015.
That's fine. Just buy Black Friday clothes a size bigger.
There you go. So is there anything else about this trend of the content marketing technologist? Or I've also seen it as the content marketing technology officer, which, the title just gets longer and longer.
God, leave it to Silicon Valley to come up with just a bevy of titles, something. The marketing ninja wizard or whatever nonsense that they want to say. But parting thoughts, because I do that we're going to run out of time. Parting thoughts would be that, as with anything, like I mentioned earlier, these things take time to really kind of flesh out and to see where they land. Not every organization is going to go hire this person tomorrow. Not everybody's life or role is going to change overnight. Very few things, especially in big organizations, change overnight. So to me, I would start thinking about, if I'm already in a position in marketing, is how can I take the idea of a chief marketing technologist and incorporate some of what that is into my day-to-day role, right? Because really what we're talking about is the reason people are talking about hiring this person is because there's a need that they've identified. So how can you start to absorb some of that need, because that makes you a bigger and bigger asset to your own organization because you're already anticipating the need. So yeah, that'd be where I'd leave it.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting trend, and I'm going to be watching this over the next year or so. Predictions for this actually come to fruition in a year, or if it's going to take a little while, as most predictions seem like they're kind of hopeful, and then it sometimes takes a little longer for it actually to happen.
Well, we can review it at the end of 2015, right, and we'll come back and check and see.
Well, thank you for
all right,
Erin. And I just want to remind everyone that if they want to continue this conversation with either of us, They can email me at Karen@ginzametrics.com or Aaron@ginzametrics.com, and I really think we need to change the name of the show to the Aaron and Karen Show. So,
I'll take it under advisement.
all right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye, Karen.
Bye-bye.